It's your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin, just walking in from Energizer Park. Got one of the few last remaining posters that did not get waterlogged by today's weather and rain delay. Maybe don't give away posters on days where it rains. I know you can't really plan this out, but it just kind of happened to work out that way. Had a long day, just got home from the City 2 match as well because the more soccer in my life, the better. And I haven't rewatched the game yet, so I'm going to do these rankings a cappella. So here we go. Let's rank some players and let's run that intro. And of course, want to show some love to Pat Connolly Tavern, located at the corner of Oakland and Tam in beautiful Dogtown, for sponsoring this channel and helping me get to experiences like this one here. They are a City on Tap bar, so you can check in on the St. Louis City app at the Pat Connolly Tavern and possibly win some prizes as well. But nothing else, just enjoy the game with a few good people in attendance as well. I also want to point out that I will not be doing a vlog for the Sporting Kansas City game this coming weekend. I've kind of covered Sporting Kansas City quite extensively on this channel already. I went to them last year for the Indy 11 Open Cup match. I went to the 2 away games that St. Louis had there. I even did an away day review of Sporting Kansas City last year. So at this point, I really just don't have much to cover with them anymore. You know the story with Sporting Kansas City at this point if you've been following my channel. Even if you're not a City fan, you know the story with them. So I'm just going to go there and hopefully enjoy the match. Also want to point out that I will be vlogging this week, though. I'm going to go up to Des Moines for Des Moines Menace, Old Man Menace, taking on Union Omaha. It will be Sasha Cleaston, Bradley Wright Phillips, Dax McCarty. All the old timers are getting together in Des Moines to make a U.S. Open Cup run against the Buhos of Union Omaha, the defending League One champions. And I'm going to vlog that game for you. Hopefully have that out either Thursday or Friday, depending on how physically capable I am up to it. All right, let's talk about this game here. It was a disappointing 1-0 home loss to Austin FC. And a lot of the same issues that we've been seeing out of Olaf Ball so far continue to remain, although there were signs after the long rain delay that we might be showing some life on offense. But the cast of characters has to be brought into question. And we'll get to that when we get to that point. Of course, let me know what you think about my player rankings in the comments below. You can also go on my Discord and give your opinions on there as well. I'm going to reference Discord throughout these player rankings as well. And I do, again, want to reemphasize, I have not done a rewatch of this game yet. I literally just got home from Energizer Park, and I'm recording this because I have a pretty good grasp, I think, on how players are going to end up here. But again, let me know if I'm off base with any of my comments in the comments below. We are going to start off, though, with the man in net, Ben Lunt. He's Lunt. He's in your head. I don't think that you can necessarily blame him for the Austin goal that was scored. I think that was just a calamity, and it was an unfortunate deflection that was more the problem of other players that I'm going to get to here in very short order. Other than that, I mean, Ben Lunt didn't have a whole lot to do. He did make a really good stop in the 36th minute. And I thought that his distribution was a little better. Like he's not a sweeper keeper. He's not Roman Berkey. He's not going to ever really kickstart an attack per se, which is, again, one of the problems I have with our defense this game, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But I thought he looked more confident with the ball, and he was making some good long kicks. We were talking about that after the game, actually during the City 2 game with a couple other fans, Jerry Hayes, Brian Simpson, you know who you are. Brad Whiteside was there as well. But I thought Ben Lunt was fine. It was nothing. As far as the game goes, it wasn't really anything to write home about. looking into the Discord here, no one really had anything to say about Ben Lunt, either good or bad. I didn't hear a whole lot of complaints that the goal was Lunt's fault per se. Some people were saying that maybe Berkey could have gotten to that. I don't necessarily agree on that. But just because he had a really good stop, I thought his distribution was better. I'm going to give him some DAP. I'm going to give him some good. I'm going to call Ben Lunt good for this one. And let me know if I'm being too generous. He didn't have a whole lot to do, but when he was called upon, he did fine. And really, he was not the issue today. One player that was the issue today, and it's going to be a little hypocritical because I've been kind of complimentary of him so far on my player rankings. Apparently too complimentary, according to some. Kyle Hebert started at right wing back today. I didn't like it when Olaf was deploying Hebert at right wing back during the preseason, oddly enough, against Austin of all teams. And I don't like it here. I'm sorry. Kyle Hebert is not a wing back. Kyle Hebert should never, ever, 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 ever be relied on to provide service into the box at a key stage of the game. And God love him. He put in a good effort today on defense. There's things on defense that I really like out of him, but those crosses, man, when we're trying to get something going late in the game, he was just not connecting on them. And there was even at one point when Hebert fired an errant cross that went out into Lake St. Louis, and Joao Klaus looked visibly angry. Like what the hell is this guy doing? Kind of a reaction to it. And I don't blame him on that. Kyle Hebert's not a wingback. He's just not. I'm going to put him. There were things on defense that I liked out of him, so I'm just going to put him in bad, but like he almost ended up in trash. And maybe he should have been. He is not it as a wingback. I think he was just very bad. This game, he just cannot provide service, and you should not be relying on him to provide service. It is a misallocation of resources, and I'll talk more when we get to Celio and about how Olaf utilizes his resources, and probably when I get to Timo Baumgartel as well, and Tomas Ostrak. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for that. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to take out the suspense right now. Olaf, you're in trash. We'll get to that. We'll get to you in a little bit though, but I'm just going to leave him right there because I have serious questions about Olaf's management of players. But moving on, we're not there yet. Putting the cart before the horse. Josh Yaro, again, one of those players that I have to question Olaf on. What is Olaf's obsession with Josh Yaro? What is the obsession? What am I not seeing in Josh Yaro? He's a kind man. I love Josh Yaro as a human being, but Josh Yaro, and something that we've known for a long time, has limitations. The guy barely was re-signed. He was probably going to walk in free agency at one point last season, but we brought him back. We even exposed him for San Diego. He was originally a right to dream guy. He was with San Diego Loyal before. They didn't want him. Wonder why? And again, Yaro's a nice guy, and I feel bad putting him on blast like this. He's just not great at his job. He is a guy that you bring on at the end of the game. You take out an attacker for a defensive substitution. You're trying to hold on to a lead, and you need a guy that can defend and hoof it out there. This is more of an Olaf question, but Jeremy Clements just pointed this out before I started recording. You know who led St. Louis City in passes into the final third today? You know who led City in passes in the final third today? Josh Yaro. And I think that's all we got to say about that. I don't want to see Josh Yaro in the starting lineup for a while. Please. We have Timo Baumgartel. He's getting back to health. We have Kyle Hebert, should be a center back, not a wing back. Get Yaro out of the starting lineup. Get him out. Seriously. I love you, Josh Yaro, but you're limited. and he should not be starting on a regular basis like Olaf insists that he start on a regular basis. Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts, in case you couldn't tell. All right, happy thoughts. Let's talk happy thoughts. Henry Kessler. I love Henry Kessler. I'm putting him in Smash again. You talk about stats, and there were people in the Discord that thought that Kessler was just good. I think we're getting to a point with Kessler where you almost kind of expect greatness out of him every single game. And you know what? Has he not delivered? He delivers every single game. I'm worried that we're going to get to a point with Kessler that his standard is going to be so high that, like, when he does have a bad game, it's going to be shocking. Like, you almost just expect him to be great at this point. But let me tell you what greatness looks like. 72 of 73. That was his passing today. 99%. We know that Kessler's got progressive passing in his game, and he's not necessarily relied on to be a progressive passer as a central center back in the 3 in the back. But you know what? He still does it. He still does it. And again, he was the linchpin on defense. He was keeping everything together. He was clearing balls. He was jumping. He was having a Henry Kessler game. This was another solid Henry Kessler game. And you can't even blame him for the goal that Austin scored. Yarrow, you can put some blame on because he was, Josh Yarrow looked great just marking nobody. And that was also Kyle Hebert as well. I mean, I'm not going to put it just on Yarrow. I know Yarrow I'm kind of treating as a pinata today, although I wasn't nice to Hebert earlier. They both screwed up, marking, on that Austin goal, along with the next guy I'm going to talk about. But Kessler, what can I say at this point that hasn't already been said? He's phenomenal. He smashed it once again. Joachim Nilsson. So Joachim Nilsson on the Austin goal, he got burned a little bit, and I think it's a case of Joachim Nilsson not being the most fleet of foot. He's just not. We know he's not a fast runner. We know that he's a bit of a stick in the mud. He's a capable defender. He can win duels. And I think in that regard, he had an okay night. I mean, I thought there was, he made a couple clearances, had some decent recoveries. I mean, I think he's still kind of getting back into speed a little bit. But outside of that goal that, he let, Bukhtari kind of torch him on, I don't think he had a bad game so much. He was part of the defense that, again, I can't be too harsh on the defense overall because we only allowed Austin to get that one goal, but we really didn't allow Austin to have a whole lot this game, to be fair. And a lot of that was part of the defensive structure. Maybe I am being a little bit too harsh on Josh Yarrow. Let me know in the comments. But Nilsson, I'm going to put in meh. Just because he didn't look great in that goal that Austin scored. But overall, I don't think he was bad. It just he didn't do a whole lot to stand out for me. Someone who I thought had a pretty good game was Giannis Horn. He started out in left wing back today. I know that's not. It's kind of. I don't know whether to call left wing. I don't know if. I think Giannis Horn is a fullback naturally. I think as a wingback, he might be a little stretched because he's not the most fleet of foot, and he's not exactly someone that you want making bombing runs up the wing like a Conrad Vollum, who just has that endless engine to him. Horn's more cultured, and he's also not as fleet of foot as Vollum is, or even as Acilio is. But I will say that I thought Giannis Horn was pretty good, actually. I don't have really a problem with Horn's game at all. 84% passing, which is good out of your wing back. He did have a block shot during this game. 85 touches total. did not have the greatest game in terms of providing service into the box. Neither he or Hebert had a really good game in that regard, but he did have 6 recoveries. I thought he played strong defensively, and again, he's part of the defense that didn't allow Austin to have a whole lot to do. So, I mean, I got to give some dap to someone on this defense if I'm defending this defense the way I am. So, I'm going to give it. I'm going to say Horn had a good game. There was nothing about Horn that suggested he was anything less than good. I thought I just had a very solid, responsible, steady game. Which we're, again, with Giannis Horn, I feel like he's kind of becoming like a Kessler in that, like, I think Horn's been our second strongest defender all season long next to Kessler. And he's starting to become kind of a steady guy, where, you don't expect, you just expect him to have a good game at this point. And Giannis Horn's kind of in that category for me. Let me know if I'm being a little bit too nice to him. I mean, there was nothing Horn did that was short of good, in my opinion. A player who was short of good, Alfredo Morales. So Alfredo Morales is someone that throughout the season so far, and throughout the last few player rankings, I kind of have a hard time seeing what Morales does. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that in Olaf's system, the 8, that deep lying playmaker just kind of disappears into the ether. Like, and it's a problem that Leuven had this season, which, by the way, hopefully Edouard Leuven and his family's okay. He had the issue last year with his wife having brain cancer, and now he's off for personal reasons again. We just hope everything's okay with Edouard Leuven, whatever the issue is. And maybe those personal issues may have had a factor into how kind of nondescript that Leuven has been this season, maybe to put it kindly. You never know what the other guy's going through. I know that from working in the medical field. So hopefully Leuven's okay. But that being said, Morales playing that same role, and again, he kind of just disappeared into the background for me, and it's been the problem that he's had from the jump. Like I mentioned, it wasn't just Josh Yarrow that had so many passes into the final third. Really, a lot of our defenders were creating passes into the final third. The second most passes into the final third on this game was actually Joachim Nilsson, if you can believe it or not. Joachim Nilsson, followed by Giannis Horn, which as a wingback you kind of want to see. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like in this system, creative midfielders aren't necessarily in the best position to create, especially ones that play more centrally, more and not as far up as like a Marcel Hartl or like today Conrad Vollum did. So another performance where I thought he just kind of disappeared into the ether. Nothing egregious. It's just he's just there. He is just there. So I'm just gonna put him in meh because he is the definition of meh at this point. He just is. And I don't think it's anything against him per se. I think it's just how he's being deployed and how the system works. Just meh. Next player I'm going to talk about, Chris Durkin. Chris Durkin, another guy that I'm kind of tired of. I'm tired of Chris Durkin. Another. I really, at this point, I'm wondering if it is just Durkin at this point, but like there were times in the second half where he was leading the attack. Like he was the furthest player upfield. And I know there was one point, I want to say it was before the rain delay, that Chris Durkin was chugging upfield, just chugging upfield, and ball into the box. It goes off kind of like the back of his head. And then Austin gets a counter. And I think this may have been the one where they actually scored on, but then it was called back because of offside. Actually, no, I don't think it was, to be fair. It wasn't this one. But like Austin's countering, and Durkin is just kind of jogging back. And he's nowhere near where the action is, which Durkin's supposed to be our defensive-minded center midfielder. I continue to be baffled by the decisions that Chris Durkin makes on the field. And I am convinced at this point that there is a rock where a brain should be at times with him. I did not think he had a great game. His passing was off. He was only 69% passing, 20 of 29. Um, he had nothing to show on defense. I'm sorry, trash. I'm I want Durkin off my field for a little while. I'm done with him for a bit. I continue to be thoroughly unimpressed by him, and he's part of the problem where, you know what, actually I'm gonna put Morales in bad for this reason. I'm changing on Morales for this reason because once again the midfield it is non-existent, and Durkin's part of that midfield, and so is Morales. And I can't absolve Morales if he's having a nondescript game because we're required. These players have to be our engine. These players have to be the heart of our attack, and it's just all season long. And I don't know if it's just Olaf's tactics or what, but it's just not happening. And you have Durkin off, running like, Sir Lancelot across the field and Monty Python and the Holy Grail all the time, being out of position. What's the point? What's the point of that point? You know, I I I'm mm. I'm going to move on now before I say something not nice because I'm fed up. I am fed up with Durkin at this point, and maybe I'm being unfair. I'm just fed up with him. Next one up here is Conrad Vollum, a player that I am not fed up with in the slightest. 36 of 40 passing, played upfield today. So we got to see a little bit of that versatility that came as advertised from Slavia Prague, where he can kind of play all over the field. He was playing further up today. He wasn't playing on the wings this time. Looked like he was kind of playing up there with Marcel Hartl at times. And Conrad Vollum continues to impress me. I don't know if playing him in an attacking role is necessarily the best use for him because he is, I think, for a wingback, pretty strong defensively. But I will say he was fairly effective today. His passing was good. He had, he just had a lot of touches in general. And like, if playing him in that role unlocks his ability to unlock defenders, then fine. Yeah, play him up there. Because I know Conrad Vollum has this in his locker from his time at Slavia Prague, where he's great with the ball at his feet. He's a great dribbler. He can unlock a defense, much like someone else I'm going to talk about here in a bit. But I was very happy with Conrad Vollum's game. I thought he had good effort. He was trying to create chances. I think he was probably our most effective crosser this game. Really, I mean, I can't think of anyone else that was when he put the ball in the air looked like it might actually do something. I thought Conrad Vollum had a good game. I'm gonna put him in good. I continue to be impressed by him. I continue to be impressed by his hustle. At this point, it's kind of becoming a trademark. Conrad Vollum has the kind of hair that like it gets very floofy, as the game goes on, and like there like in the second half he was running towards the north end and like his hair was just flowing, like it was just like very floofy, and it's just like it's becoming a trademark. Like when I see the big hair running along down the wing or going attacking the defense, that's Conrad with the big floofy hair. Fun player, very fun player, and one of the few players today that's giving me this smile on my face. This player is not going to give me a smile on my face, unfortunately. I continue to be very disappointed in Marcel Hartl. And I don't think it was bad necessarily, but like we're talking about how Conrad Vollum can unlock a defense and beat players on a dribble. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Marcel Hartl come with that rep as well? I know Hartl's more on the distribution side of that equation, whereas Vollum's more of a dribbler. And Hartl, to be fair, he was 39 of 46 passing today. He didn't have a bad game, and he was one of the leaders in getting balls into the final third. But there's something about Hartl, and I've seen it all the season, where like I'm Marvin the Martian, just waiting for the kaboom from him, and I just haven't seen it yet. And I don't know exactly what the issue is with him. I mean, it's and again, he wasn't bad. I'm going to put him in meh, but I just maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just expecting more of Hartle and I'm not getting it. And that's the disappointing thing for me with Hartle is just he's not the like because I remember when we signed him, there was some people making comparisons like, oh, he's a poor man's Denny Bwanga. No, he is not a poor man's Denny Bwanga. I have not seen anything that resembles Denny Bwanga from Marcel Hartle yet. Yet. I'm giving him there's still a lot of season to go. We're adjusting to a new system. I'm gonna give it, I'm giving him plenty of time. Because and I've seen enough of him to where I think better times are coming from Marcel Hartle. It's just not here yet. Next player, Simon Betcher, our final starter. I love me some Simon. I got him in the back of my City Red kit this year. Um, Another disappointment though, and I think his issue is more again just of how he's being used. This system clearly is, to me at least, and maybe I'm just seeing it weirdly, but I feel like this system is meant to unlock the attacking mids more so than the forwards, because we have skilled players in Marcel Hartle, Cedric Toyshirt now can play up there. Now that Thomas Ostrak's up, he can probably play up there. Conrad Wallem played up there today. So like it feels to me like a lot of the focus is on those tens, those attacking midfielders. And so in that system, you need someone, you need almost like a pressing forward or a target forward that can kind of hold up play. Betcher's not that guy. To me, and I made this comparison with Brian Simpson at the City 2 game, and I think he agreed. He's a more pressing version of Nico Gioacchini in that, Betcher's a poacher. He can put the ball in the back of the net. But besides offering a little bit of that Jared Stroud, kind of pluckiness to his game, like I don't see a whole lot of extra from Betcher like we do with the Joao Klaus. So I think Betcher is more just guilty of utilization than anything. He didn't have a whole, he didn't really touch the ball much at all. It was just kind of an invisible game. And if I'm going to put Morales in bad because he was invisible, I'm going to have to put Betcher there as well. I mean, there's Betcher, as much as I love him and as much as I know he can put the ball in the back of the net, he's not a game breaker. He's a good striker. He's someone that if he's your second or third striker, you're probably pretty happy with, but he can't be the tip of the spear in this system. He needs someone to play off of. Klaus, excuse me. But yeah, I think Betcher was invisible, and again, if I'm not going to absolve Morales for being invisible, I can't absolve Betcher either. I would just look like a hypocrite. Akil Watts is next. Another guy that I kind of ranted about last time because I was kind of over him, kind of like how I'm over with Chris Durkin at the moment. I will say this for Akil Watts. He played 29 minutes. He played more centrally this time around, although they had him at defense at one point, which is just we'll get to Olaf. But I mean, he actually did complete 26 passing, but I'll give him meh. He was just Like there was nothing that stood out to me with him. I mean, he didn't have anything egregious today. It was just I'll give him meh. I'll be nice with what he didn't do anything bad, but I don't think he did anything great either. That's the definition of meh. Nor do you necessarily count, like, unlike Morales, like, I don't think you necessarily count on Watts, and I don't think he was necessarily in a role to where, like, he was supposed to be the metronome or the engine. So I'll give Watts a meh. Maybe I'm being friendly. I didn't see any comments in the Discord about Watts either. So yeah, that's pretty meh. Pretty meh. Celio Pompeo. Always just talk about Celio just makes me warm and fuzzy. I think if there was ever a game that shows Olaf the value of Celio Pompeu is this one, because he came in at left wing back. He came in for I think he came in right for Giannis Horn after Giannis Horn picked up that knock. Hopefully Horn's okay. I think Olaf said in the press conference that he was thinking it was just a cramp, maybe. Hopefully that's just the case. It didn't. I mean, he was able to walk off, so hopefully it wasn't anything major. When Celio came on for Watts though, or Horn rather, I think it was generally Horn's time to come off anyway, because he was playing that wingback role and doing a lot of running. So I think it was just time anyway. But Celio, when he was out there, I thought Celio was a game changer. And I talked a little bit about Volum's ability to unlock a defense. I mean, Celio was really unlocking the defense. He gave St. Louis an element that we just didn't have all game, and that is we were doing a lot of pumping and praying into the box. And in the case of Kyle Hebert, really bad service into the box. But Pompeu, Celio, what he does is he can beat defenders on the dribble. He beat defenders a couple times today. It's just that he had a little bit of bad luck getting service once he beat his defenders. Like, to be fair, Austin was playing, pretty deep at that point by the time he was coming in, and so I mean, it was kind of hard. Celio really had to kind of hunt for space and try to hunt for spots to, even get service in, which he was successful on a couple of times and created some hazardous moments at the end. But yeah, I want to see more Celio. I hope now that the weather's a little bit warmer, hopefully now that his fitness is up a little bit, I want to see Celio starting at wingback next week in Kansas. I want to see Celio start in Kansas. Put him at left back or left wing back. Great. Put him at right wing back. Great. There's arguments you can do for either one. I think he can play either. He's not going to be the strongest defensively, but that's okay. That's where you put in Conrad Volum on the other side. Whatever side you start Volum on one side, you start Celio on the other, and you put Celio. You look at your left center back and your right center back. Kessler's going to be in the middle, but whichever center back you feel is the strongest defensively, that's not Henry Kessler, put Celio on that side, because Volum can hold his own on his side. We've seen that this year. Put Volum next to the weaker defender. So, like, let's just say, for instance, they go Nilsson, Kessler, and Hebert as your back three. You put Volum on the Hebert side, and then you put Celio on the Nilsson side. Or if you put Giannis Horn instead of Nilsson, that still applies. You put Celio on that side. Have someone protect Celio a little bit defensively is basically the point that I'm trying to get at here, because Celio looked the part of a left wing back. He looked good today. I'm going to put him in good. He would have been a smash if he had, actually generated an assist. He was definitely trying, though. He was the most impressive offensive minded player that we had. I think today next to Volum, but I think I put Celio a little bit above Volum. I was very impressed, but might be a little biased because I love me some Celio. Another player that I thought actually really impressed me as well, Tomas Ostrak. Speaking of players that are coming back from traumatic leg injuries, 22 of 23 passing, playing a center mid role. Had 29 touches overall. Looked very active. And again, we're talking about center mid here. A position that this year has been the Bermuda Triangle. Durkin terrible. Leuven has been absent at times. Morales was invisible. We've been looking for a solution in that eight, that creative spark, and maybe Ostrak is the guy that can provide that now that he's getting back to fitness. I liked what I saw from Ostrak today. I'm going to put him in good. I want to see more Ostrak. I want to see him start in Kansas. I think he's earned a start. Maybe he doesn't play the full 90 if you're worried about his fitness, but yeah, let's see more Ostrak. Let's see more Celio. We need something else besides Durkin and Watts all the time. We need something else at this point to jumpstart this offense. And we don't need to be starting 5 center backs either to try to jumpstart an offense. We'll get to Olaf in a bit. Speaking of Olaf conundrums, Did Joao Klaus sleep with Olaf's wife or something? Because this is the third straight game that Klaus has not started. He's come off the bench once again. And look, I'm a Klaus skeptic. I was very skeptical on him going into the season. Yes, he hasn't scored since May of last year. I get it. But I was just talking earlier about how this system is designed for a target forward that can hold up play and feed his attacking midfielders. Klaus is the definition of the player you want in this system. What is going on? Is he and Olaf having a beef? Are just like he had with Carnell? Is Klaus beefing with Olaf? What is going on here? He's not hurt, clearly. I mean, maybe his spirit's a little bit crushed because he can't score, but like again, like I said, you don't know what the other guy's going through, just like I said with Leuven. But I think the evidence was very clear that when Klaus was subbed on after the rain delay, our offense started working a little bit. Like we were getting into the final third, and I don't think it was necessarily all Klaus, but like I didn't see anything out of Klaus that was bad today. He was working hard. He was finding space. He didn't have a whole lot of touches and didn't have a whole lot to do, but he did have 5 touches in the opposition box, in his, 20 minutes that he was out there. It looked like he was trying to create, but again, he was kind of getting frustrated because like Kyle Hebert was, sailing crosses into Lake St. Louis. I'm going to put Klaus in meh just because he wasn't really allowed to do anything. But again, Sporting Kansas, I want to see Joao Klaus in the starting lineup. I'm Simon can take a break. Simon can take a break. Let's see Klaus. Let's see Joao Klaus score against the hated blue guys from Kansas. I mean, that'll get his confidence back up. But he's the guy that this offense should be tailored for. And he's not playing. He needs to play. He's our DP. Play him. And maybe don't play Timo Baumgartel as a striker. And again, another reason why I'm putting I pre-put Olaf in trash because his use. I get Timo was, I guess he was under the weather in preseason. He wasn't fully fit. Yeah, fine. So when he finally does play, you put him at striker? As a center forward? Because, yeah, he was like from the moment that Timo ran on the field, he was playing up. He was like our target forward when you have Joao Klaus out there. Yeah. I don't know what you can really say about Timo Baumgartel as a center forward other than that is not his position. Why are you playing him out there? I get he's a big guy, but like, I mean, I'm not even going to rate Timo. You know what? I'm not even going to rate him. There's nothing to rate with Timo because he did nothing when he was out there. Because again, they couldn't get service to him. Nothing bad. He was working, but like what are we doing with Timo? Okay, we're gonna talk about Olaf now. Let's talk about Olaf. I beat around the bush. His insistence on starting Josh Yarrow, his insistence that he thinks that Kyle Hebert has right wing back in him, which I don't understand. His insistence that Joao Klaus is not a starter for some reason, even though this offense is tailored for him. I'm going to absolve Olaf a little bit on Celio and Ostrak because, again, these are injury concerns and you want to get their fitness up. Timo as well. I'll kind of absolve him a little bit on that. But we went so much of this game looking completely feckless on offense. And I feel that this club is at the 101 level of their college education. Like this club has mastered the defensive arts at this point. Like we're fine there. We are absolutely fine there. But we have not seen anything sustained that tells me that we are ever going to score another freaking goal in open play. We have 1 goal this season in open play. One. And that means not on a free kick, not on a penalty kick. 1 goal in open play. Something is not working with this offense. We saw some signs after the rain delay that that it might be pulling out of it a little bit. And again, if you get the right cast of characters out of there, I mean, if you stop having Kyle Hebert trying to feed crosses to Timo Baumgartel as your solution to a 1-0 deficit late in the game, maybe we get that tying goal. But it is a usage of player concern that I have with Olaf at this point. Not only that, but we had an extra roster spot today. We had a bench spot go unfilled. Caden Glover didn't start at City 2 tonight. Neither did Mekhi Joyner. Why not them? Why not them at this point? I mean, I know they're not ready per se, but like, I want to hear an argument from someone, anyone, and you can try this in the comments to try to convince me that Timo Baumgartel is your striker, that forward attacker that you need late in the game, and not a Caden Glover or a Mekhi Joyner. Try. Just try. But yeah, I put Olaf in trash early on, and that's where he stays because and he made no changes at halftime. How can you look at that first 45 minutes and say, yeah, I want to see more of that for the next 15 minutes? And then in the 60th minute or so, before and after the rain delay, he makes 4 subs. What game is Olaf seeing that we're not? Because I have concerns at this point about Olaf Ball. I have major concerns. And I stopped short of hoping for the days of, the unpredictable 3-3 shootouts that we had a lot in 2024, because those were stressful. But we've replaced it with absolutely boring and dull soccer that is not generating anything to write home about. And I really worry that if this whole season is going to be nothing but 0-0, 1-0, either way, it's going to strangle the life out of this fan base. Because it's going to be a very boring brand of soccer that is not producing results on a consistent level. And it's frustrating to watch. And I feel after a month that I have a right to be frustrated. And I think a lot of St. Louis fans, I don't think I'm alone in this regard. I think I have concerns. I have big concerns about where this offense is going to go. And we know Olaf from his time at Brahma Poikarna, he likes to shake up his rotations a bit. Do we give the 5 in the back a break? Do we go back to a 4-2-3-1? I want us to something's got to change. Because, while we're not conceding goals in this system, I've seen no evidence to give me any faith in our offense this year at all. I'm doing Chris Gebhardt's charity challenge again this year. And I could easily just not submit a score. It would get counted as a 0. And I have a feeling if I just didn't submit a score every week, I might win the charity challenge because we're going to get a lot of 0s this year if this keeps up. We just need to try something different. Man of the match, I didn't give one out last week because I forgot, but I'm going to give it out this week. Of course, it's Henry Kessler because, that's predictable at this point. Henry Kessler is our MVP this year, and I don't think anyone is going to have any argument on that. So definitely not Chris Durkin. God. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe for more. Let me know if you thought that I was being too harsh on Chris Durkin or Josh Yarrow or even Kyle Hebert. I mean, anyone. Or maybe I'm being too kind to Giannis Horn. Maybe there was something you saw today that was like, Giannis Horn wasn't great. He was just okay. Let me know in the comments. I really am curious what you interpreted this game. Again, this is purely on vibes because I haven't done a rewatch yet. This is right after I got home. And I want to thank my Zombie Ultras as well for supporting this channel as well. All 13 of you. Thank you very much for your support and helping me get to places like Des Moines later this week. I have no idea how I'm going to get any sleep after that trip, but as the old saying goes, I will sleep when I am dead. And thankfully, I'm not dead. This is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin here, and I recently went to Lexington SC for the Lexington versus Indy 11 matchup. I was invited by the Brickyard Battalion, which, by the way, I have now become a member of the Brickyard Battalion. I explained my reasons on my Blue Sky. Of course, I'm still St. Louis and St. Louligans till I die. But the Brickyard Battalion are good friends, the Louligans, and they need support now. So, and you know who else needs support? Lexington SC. So check out this video right here. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put up another video right up here. It's the away day review. So you get two to choose from. Man, what a deal.